Agora, a place to have conversations about wealth, WELLTH, movement, in particular, legacy, and other related words like experience, education, nature. It's a place to have conversations to unfurl, unfold those words and what meaning they have for you in your life. I'm reaching out certainly to those who are using a word like aging and may include something like EcoAger or Soloaging, Soloager. I find that is a group that I can sort of lean into and be with you because I'm living a solo aging lifestyle myself. Kin are very far away from me, and I am pretty well living and doing what it is that I do for myself, doing it with the planet and from the whole, but certainly traveling without kin around me. Friends, yes, but not the kin. So you're a group that I can connect with. I'm hoping you can connect with me as we share some of these videos, and you get to join me here in the Wellth Agora on Wednesday mornings. So I think it would be important to just sort of identify what our topic is today, and it has to do with legacy, and it's about the concept of countering forgetting the details as you start to decode your legacy, as you start to prepare your legacy projects, stories, contributions, wherever you might find yourself doing that in your life. Now, often people associate it with, okay, I'm 50, 55, I'm looking at the second 50, my second half of life, and maybe it's time to look at legacy. But again, some actually start their legacy sooner because I always encourage people to think about the legacy you intend to live and leave. Some people will just talk about leaving a legacy and just waiting and waiting and waiting, whereas I'm going, why not weave this story of legacy, these projects of legacy, into what it is that you're doing now? So when I reached out to have a conversation with some solo agers, I said, you know, what's some of the things you're struggling with at the moment? And a couple of them mentioned it's wrapping my head around where is all the source of my insights and ideas, and where do I gather them from? Because I haven't thought about curating them and collecting all that documentation. And I said, hey, I hear you. Over the years, all the different kinds of jobs I've had, some of them had resulted in me writing books. Some of them had me writing manuals, doing lots of online courses. So I had created quite a bit of assets. I think they sometimes will use a word like that, content assets. And I said, I think I'm going to have to start sorting it out and what I've got. And then I dove into my computer and into all my archives and went, whoa, there's a lot going on here. Some of it not even organized. And so I said to them, I get what you're sharing. And I said, no, maybe there is a way for us to take a look at this. And that's what came about, was countering the forgetting details, because a lot of the people I was chatting with, they're saying, I'm forgetting it sometimes. And I'm going, I hear you on that as well. And so let's take a look at some ways that we might be able to figure out how to counter that forgetting so that you can discover, shape, share the legacy that you intend to live and leave. And that's what started to take place. So what I did was I said, you know, documentation is important. It's sort of the sense of evidence. It's gathering the evidence, and from that, you can produce whatever that you want to produce, whether it's writing or drawing, photography, artwork, whatever it might be, all the way to creating something that's very tangible that might sit on the table as a gift. And I'm thinking here of people who may do pottery or work like that. wood sculpting, things like that. Could be crochet, all number of ways in which one can bring the ideas of legacy together. And certainly out into, well, how might I help fund an education center around nature? How might I support a group that is working some agroforestry program, or they're creating a new water initiative? Again, lots of different ways in which to take a look at the legacy project. And so I said, well, if it's really about you and what it is that you're collecting and what you want to share out, there's some things that I think that we could go over to be able to help you with that. And then that is what came about in terms of taking a look at this diagram that I'm just going to share with you now, this image, because there's 5 things I wanted to share with you today. It's not to say that these are the only 5. There are certainly more, but these are the ones that I thought would have a ring to them. They would sort of resonate with you today. And I have some examples, some things to share with you about how I do it. And then if you want to subscribe, comment, like, share, whatever around this video, then I can learn from you as well. So share away and comment and bring your ideas to the table as well. So the first thing that I thought would be important is to develop a note-taking system. Now, you probably have stored some of your ideas away, and now they could be in those like plastic bins. They could be in your Google Drive. They could be in Dropbox. They could be any number of places. I recently just brought everything from and off and out of the cloud into my Google Drive, because that's where I do most of my work. And it was kind of interesting because it also gave me an opportunity to say, well, I don't need that anymore, and I would delete it, get rid of it. And there was times when I'm going, geez, I don't know what I'm going to do with that. Oh, I'll keep it. And I brought it over. And then a lot of the other elements, they all ended up in zip files, and over they came. And now I'm going through them, attempting to figure out what to do with all of that. But what this did was it brought forward, okay, how am I going to take notes to remember what I am working with? And I'm one who has a lot of different systems that I put in place, and I just wanted to share a few of those ideas with you today. So one of the things is I still am of the ilk that I think it's important to keep pens and paper around. So I grabbed a tin and I just put some basic pens and pencils and markers, the ones that have sort of very colorful endpoints. All right. These are just ways for me to remember. So I didn't put like lots and lots, just enough to go, oh, okay. So I can grab them and work with them. And then what I did was I also, sometimes there's notes, pieces of paper that are left over, and I just clip them together, and I'll grab one of those. Maybe I want to write a note to stick it inside a book. And so I sort of just put it inside the book so I can remember what's going on. This is one that I wrote, just recently published, Mentoring Now. And I wrote a note to myself about, oh, I think there's an extension from this book that I could use for my other legacy projects. So that was fun. And are able to just sort of grab and take the notes that make sense to you. Now, there are voice recorders off most computers now. If not, there are free ones that you can grab a hold of. Just do a search for voice recorders, and there are different digital apps to take notes. Lots and lots of tools around. But again, I still play with the paper end of things. And so what I did was I said, well, how might I be able to help other people? And that's where I started to go, well, I could actually create a journal. So I just published a journal that you can grab a hold of, and the reference to where it is down below. And so there's the journal. I created, let's see, a notebook which was to take a look at certain kind of ideas and write your notes. And this one is linked back against the idea of what is your legacy challenges and values, the projects you want to work on, the stories, the contributions you want to make, and just being able to have a place to record that thinking. I do it into other notebooks that I have, and but I thought, well, I'll create this for yourselves to see if that would be of assistance. And then I've created other workbooks where I've actually put ideas in, so that what you can do is write notes against it. So there's the idea goes in, you get to play with the idea, all right, and then you get to write notes answering some of the prompt questions that are there. So you could create these yourself. These are what are called medium content direct publishing books that you could put up through Amazon. And so it was a great way for me to summarize how to take notes and to put it into place. And by doing that, you find yourself going, oh, okay, all right, there's that idea, and then that sparks something else. So this morning, just before going out for getting groceries and that, I took a book with me and a notebook and sat and had a cup of coffee and wrote some poetry based on reading the book and captured it in a notebook that I had. And that will end up in some project works that I'm doing, and I'll see what takes place. So it was a way to curate ideas in the moment and to put it in play. And that's what brings up the next one, is to set reminders for yourself. Now, I do it in the morning. So I'm up 6 walking the dog, and then I find myself coming back, making some coffee, and sitting down for a good hour. Depending on which angle I want to go at, I might do some reading and just do some research reading. Sometimes I'm doing reading and writing poetry. I tend to write my notes in poem form now, so that I can actually use them in documents that I create. So for example, this is my legacy project, and it's called Awareness and Forests. The short form is Awarests. You sort of see the word aware and rests in the word. It's a prompt and activity book filled with stories and pictures and poems. And I produce it as a way in which to do fundraising for nature aware programs and projects in different parts of the world. And so that was how I sort of go about doing what I do. So my research notes, and if I'm looking over here, this is my creation table is here. And that's where I do all my writing. And it's piled high with things. I'm going to have to clean it up because I've been doing lots of writing in different elements of what I'm working on. And it's sort of a fun way to bring it all together. But my reminder is to do it in the morning. That's how I do it. Now, there's some have shared with me, as they said, a reminder is that sometime during the day, their alarm goes off on their phone, and they say, oh, okay, what's the idea that's there? And just sort of use a bit of synchronicity, random thinking, and write down their notes. And what they may have is their journal, and they're just writing into their journal the ideas that are just coming to them at that point in time. Now, another person suggested is sort of taking a day and going away somewhere. Now, you remember I mentioned going to the coffee shop this morning. That was only for about 45 minutes or so. But there have been days, but this person was mentioning is what they tend to do is like a Sunday afternoon, they'll go find a quiet place and bring their workbooks and journals and write down their ideas so that they remember their achievements that they've created themselves, the accomplishments with others, any way in which to bring their sense of understanding of the milestones or kilometer stones that they had in their lives and in their practice. And so that was kind of a fun way when I was talking to them, how they were bringing it together. So the next one that I wanted to take a look at is the notion of reflect regularly. Now, this notion of reflecting in and on, I've come to really appreciate this. And that's where the reflecting in is while it's happening, reflecting on is sort of stepping back or afterwards taking a look at what took place. So, of the experiences that have unfolded for me over the years, yes, I've collected lots of notes, and that's what went into my archives. And there's notebooks filled with material that has ended up in different places for use. But it came about because of the reflection. So this notion of, yeah, setting a regular time to do it, but sometimes it may be in that moment. It's going, oh, hang on a minute, and grabbing a notebook that you have close by and writing down what that memory might be, or that thought might be, that insight that came about and may have come from someone else, and you're going, oh, okay, that's kind of interesting, and capturing it so that you can use it later. And then that way you don't forget it. This is rare. There's times when I wish I could just remember some of my dreams, right? They're great dreams, great ideas, and I did some really wonderful writing in my dreams, but I only remember certain bits and pieces of it, and I'm attempting to get better at that. And so I can, capture, curate more of those really wonderful ideas. But a lot of the dreams that I've been having have really been helping with some characters in some of the writing that I want to do. One of my legacy projects, probably in a couple of years from now, is to start writing some children's books to bring out some concepts and practices about walking with nature, experiencing the extraordinary with nature, bringing that all to the foreground. So this notion of reflecting on what's going on. Now, I mentioned it a few minutes ago, but I'm just going to state it again because I think it's important, is that often you go, okay, well, these were my personal achievements, but you also did things, you created things, you experienced things with others. Capture those. It'll be your perspective of them. That's granted, but capture those as well. And what were you thinking at the time, or capturing what you're thinking in this moment as you're interacting with someone, and to be able to sort of just document that. But I'd also encourage you to do it again on a regular basis. So make a bit of a habit of that documentation. So these number 2 and number 3 sort of work hand in hand, is set the reminders and reflect regularly. And as you reflect, set up reminders to be able to do it. The next one that I thought that would be helpful is to take a look at this notion of use visuals. Over time, what happened for me is that I realized that I'm a visual learner. And I'm forever drawing ideas. And that's why even little pieces like paper is, I might just draw something to remind me, like a little signal to me about what's there. It might be a little image. And then I just tape it into my books, into my notebook. So I'm not sort of re-recording it. It's there. So my books have all different size papers in my journals and all of that. But I'm just capturing thoughts and doing it. But I'm doing it through drawings. And if there's something of a visual language that you use, then go for it. I've developed my own visual language over the years. And so in an image, can remind myself of a lot of different things. And then that really helps me. And then the color coding that comes out of my bin, in terms of like that marker I was talking about, there's the blue highlighters, the yellow highlighters, these kind of things are ways to remind myself. So I've created this sort of visual language for myself. But there's also the notion of photographs that you can take. I've written notes, taken photographs of those, and then actually put them into my notebooks. I've actually, in my blog that I write, I will put some of those images of my writing from the photograph right into the blog. I've actually did that with this Mentoring Now book, is that I included some drawings that I had done, because I thought that it would be a great way to sort of add in a sort of a different texture, all right, to the book, to be able to see some hand drawings. And that was fun. And I did something similar in this one, in terms of some people actually did some notes, and so we just put them in their hand way of doing things. Now, there's lots of visual media formats that you can use that are out there. This world of AI that's coming about. I played with some of the AI Mid-Journey. There's lots of other different AI tools and techniques that are out there. And what they did was I asked it to create some images that would go with some of the work that I'm doing. And that's been very helpful when I go to put up some of my digital media posts. I'm using some of that AI with some of my legacy thoughts and putting it out through my different digital marketing channels. So that's been fun as well. So using the visuals and all the different ways that you can curate what's available to you. So don't be limited to going, okay, well, I'll just write my notes, or I'll just put it into my journal. Could you take a photograph? And also, I'm looking down my phone, I'm just reminded, oh, right, I can actually shoot short videos. And there are places to create a video channel, like on YouTube, and using the shorts or using the longs, different ways like that. So there are different ways in which to remember, right, what's going on. So you're countering that forgetting. You may be creating something that's bringing an A and a B together to create a C, and some of it might be the history of your legacy with an experience you're having now, which in a sense is living your legacy and bringing all of that together, and that can be a lot of fun as well. The next one that I wanted to just sort of go over with you is ask for feed forward. A lot of times people will use the word feedback, and I go, that's great. And back means grabbing something from the history and bringing it forward, useful. But if you were to ask someone about, well, what's happening currently, right now, what's taking place, so that you might be able to do some basic adjustments. And that really means is not being afraid to ask for that feed forward. I do that a lot with my friends, and I ask them, okay, of what I'm talking about, what sort of comes to mind for you? Because I'm, in a sense, sharing my legacy that I am discovering and shaping. And so to get their insights is very helpful to me. And from that, it sort of stimulates more thoughts, and I capture it in ways that are available, and that I can then curate in all the different ways that I have mentioned already. But also what I found is sometimes by asking for those insights, they see it a little differently about what we've just shared together. And their perspective actually guides me in reframing, rescripting, resharing the stories, the ideas, the written words that go with my legacy. And I'm forever thanking them for doing that, because that just is a wonderful way to get the nuances, to unfold new ways of looking at it that then unfolds into me and just supports my writing and this legacy projects and stories and contributions that I want to make. So these are just ways in which to take a look at countering the forgetting of details. So again, just quick, develop a note-taking system that works for you. Set reminders, whichever way that may be, phone or a time of day that you want to do it. Reflect regularly. In that setting a reminder, maybe one of those times is about reflecting on a Sunday afternoon with a cup of coffee, sitting on the chair on the veranda, whatever it might be, and just jotting down some notes and just thinking through things, feeling through some things. Another is to use visuals, whether it's drawings, it could be photographs, it could be video. There's all different ways in which to use the visual arts. There are a lot of other ways. I've seen people, and I'm just looking over here, someone actually did a string weaving of a tree, and there's a deciduous tree, a cactus tree, and clouds. But really, if you look at it closely, it's a wonderful art piece, but it's string and wool, and it's brought a dimensional look to it. So again, there's that way of creating something that is a story of your legacy. And then, of course, to ask for feed forward. I'm getting insights, I'm asking you, oh, okay, and that moves me forward, moves me forward, moves me forward. And that's a great way to stay on top of your memories, so that you're not forgetting any of the details that go with it. So again, as a quick reminder, I just want to share with you, and there will be access points. If you're looking for a legacy journal to sort of capture your thoughts, this is a really great one. It explains about life, leadership, legal literacy, and leverage, which is a play on leverage, but with love. And it's a book where you can just circle one of those words and say, I think I've got an idea here about life and I want to record it. But also what's here is at the bottom of each page is a single word. And if that you need a prompt, there it is, off you go. And again, different kinds of workbooks and notebooks are available, and I will put the links to those down below if you find that they are helpful. Because really what we're attempting to do is continue to decode. I love that word when it's linked to legacy. Decode your legacy, or legacy decoded, which is the name of a prompt activity book that I am just in the process of completing, to get them out to go with these journals and workbooks and notebooks that I have. But there are all ways to document, to counter you not forgetting the details of your life and what you want to share with others, to bring that forward. We have rich lives. We've got wonderful lived experience. We've got great word phrasings. We have images in our head, and if we can get them out, and future generations can benefit. But there's something about even doing it for yourself. And I know even my legacy project that I have going is that this has meant a lot to me, is because I'm seeing my own poetry. I'm reading stories that other people are sharing about their interactions with trees, and I'm going, wow, yeah, I think I had something similar to that. It wasn't exactly the way they said, but I had my own. And reading those stories, and it's amazing also is that I put some word puzzles and maze puzzles, and just taking the time to go through them. Even though I produce them, I may not always remember how to do them, so I get to redo them again and play with them, and sort of using them as a way in which to take a breath, to be able to remember, right, to counter that forgetting of the legacy that I'm living, all right, and that I want to leave. I think that sort of covers off what I wanted to today. Again, I was talking and chatting with some soloagers, and I was saying, what's one of your struggles? It was this notion of forgetting the details. That's why I did this video. As I reach out to more, and maybe you have an idea about something that's a struggle for you as a soloager that might link to words like legacy and nature and education and experience that you want to ask me about, and we can have a written chat and see if it's something that might pop out as a a video here at the Wellth Agora on Wednesdays at 10 a.m. ish. All right. And maybe you want to join me and come in live and we have a conversation about it as well. So that can certainly help and see what takes place. So with that, I'm going to say take care. I'm going to end this stream, this presentation. I'm going to wish you the best, and may peace be with the way of your walking with nature.